came into real estate and really trying to integrate being a mother with figuring out creative ways to meet new people and to continue to network really led me to a place of hosting moms groups within my home. I had this mindset of, I just want to be responsible for me. I'm completely unapologetic about it, was my marketing. Like if I didn't post to social media, like I didn't care. Since getting a VA, I have done a full branding photo shoot, which was like way over the top and way out of my comfort zone. So I think what people are worried about is, okay, well, like, who do I hire? Like, where do I even go to hire somebody like this? How am I going to find the time to train them? I've been giving a lot of advice to agents about like really leaning into AI because for me, I think that was a game changer. I see how I could bring somebody in and have them really be effective as me without being me.
Hey, it's me, Coach B. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Breakthrough. Today, we are doing one of my favorite things, and that is to talk to someone who's got a beginner's mind. Now, don't misunderstand what I'm saying. Our guest today, Michelle Hawco from Ontario, is not a beginner to real estate. In fact, she's been licensed for nearly 2 decades, but she is a beginner when it comes to the idea of hiring help, specifically a virtual assistant in her business. Michelle is a RRI coaching member, and I saw late last year that she posted on the Facebook group, asking anyone about their experiences with a VA and what she had learned recently by hiring one of her own. She then went on, after having success in that first conversation, to organize a meetup of other realtors who are thinking about hiring an assistant and sharing tips and tricks. So I thought she would be the perfect person if you are the type of audience member that is, new to this idea of letting go to grow. Maybe you have some apprehensions around, trusting someone to run a component of your business, whether it's your marketing or your administration. And Michelle does such a great job describing what it was like for her in the very beginning. And she still is, frankly, in the relatively early stages of this journey. But I love that for our audience, because I know many of us are in that phase as well, where we're just getting started. So we thought it'd be really cool to hear someone who's got sort of that beginner's mind, that fresh outlook on what it's like to let go of the stuff that is the soul sucking, energy draining, low impact tasks, and then do something else with that time that we get once we're freed up of it. So hope you enjoy this interview with Michelle Hawco, and I'll see you inside.
I used to, for years, always did community events, was starting to do some video and different things. And then you don't do things full on because you're busy and you have other things going on. And then somebody comes in and they're like doing the thing that you wanted to do, but better than you did it. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
I just have so much respect for her. She has worked so hard and she's amazing. Yeah.
She's awesome. So you ready to kick things off?
I am.
Okay, well, that means I get to do the coffee plunge. Ready?
Okay.
Oh, glad it didn't spill all over me. That's great.
Lovely.
So I always do the guest intro after the fact, so we don't need to do the whole, who you are and whatnot piece as far as like the name badge. But I am curious, first and foremost, how did you come up with the branding for, what do we have here? It says the house mom. Like, of all the things you could have branded, you've been licensed for, is it correct that 19 years?
Yes.
And have you always been the house mom, or is that like?
No. So I'm trying to think when I actually leaned into that. And I have a feeling maybe it was 2012, maybe 2011. And it's terrible that I don't know. Do you want a little bit of history about kind of where I started?
Yeah, let's do a little bit of the origin story.
Yeah, I won't take it too far, but
No, it's okay.
so I used to be a franchisee for Petro Canada. So I kind of grew up and I managed gas stations from the time I was 16 years old. And then I went to school for business and marketing. And when I finished that, I became a franchisee with Petro Canada because they had great students for new grads, or had great programs for new grads. Sorry about that. And so that was kind of like my first gig. I was in business for self. I was 21 years old and I had this like huge responsibility. So I ended up doing that for almost 5 years, won their President's Award for operational excellence, like trained other franchisees and all of that. And it was kind of a cool business, but they were kind of transitioning their contracts, the way they did things. They were clawing a lot back from retailers, and then they were wanting you to work harder. So it was like multi-site, this and that. And this is already a 24/7, 365 grind. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you don't really want to be grinding harder in this business. And at that time, risk was increasing because, like, tobacco, if you sold to minors, tobacco fines were going up. And, like, it's a crazy business, lots
Yeah.
of theft, lots of things going on. So I came from that business looking for more balance in my life.
Yeah.
And so I found real estate, which is kind of a joke because I
Yeah.
don't really think, like, so for me, I'm like, real estate, only like 12 hours a day, 7 days
I
a week.
gotta quickly share there that, I used to, play golf, I took golf very seriously between the ages of, like, 16 and 20. I was working in retail sales, and I was playing 1 round a week and practicing 1 day a week, and then I got my real estate license at 21.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had this vision. I'm like, "I'm gonna have so much time for golf when I become a realtor." So I don't know what it is about the business, but it seems to, like, give people this imaginary idea that it's like you're gonna have all this free time, right? And I can tell you that I don't own golf clubs anymore, and, I didn't play a lot of golf once I got a real estate license. So not to say that that's a good thing, and, knowing what I know now, I would probably still be golfing, but, yeah, it is funny to hear you say that, that sort of that idea coming into it of like, I've got no schedule, no boss. I can do whatever I want, right?
Well, yeah, and then
Yeah,
coming out of a business where I was self-employed, although when you have a franchise, you're kind of like you're self-employed but not fully, right?
right.
Um, so there was still a lot of expectations, but it was not like happy. I wasn't happy there. I didn't enjoy the job. And so when I came into real estate, I was at a point in my life, I think it was like 26 years old. My husband and I had a house already. We were thinking what's next, and I wanted to have children, but I couldn't imagine doing it with that lifestyle. Like the
Mhm.
gas station lifestyle was too much. So came into real estate 2006, still didn't have any children. So I had a couple of years to really kind of get into the business. And it was actually suggested to me by my stepfather-in-law. He was a realtor already. And he kind of took me under his wing, which was lovely because it helped me get started. He kind of like showed me what to do and I gained some confidence. But from there, I kind of worked really hard at things that were easy and cheap, right? So, like, I know we have at RRI, there's a whole spectrum of ways you can gain clients, but I did a lot of open houses. I did a lot of personal networking. I used to go to all the Remax events and like have booths and different things like that. And then, that was all fine and good. I was grinding pretty hard still, but it still felt better than what I was doing.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, we decided to try and have a child. So I had my first baby in 2008. And just, I don't know if you, well, I don't know, were you practicing at that time? Were you in real
I
estate?
got my license in 2009.
Okay. So
So
when I entered
as
the
the people were running out screaming, I was running in being like, "Hey guys, where are you going? Like, isn't the business this way?" Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no, I know. It was crazy. So at that time, we had the financial collapse kind of in September of that year.
Yeah.
And we had a new house. We had moved from our old house, upgraded homes. We had just got married. My husband and I did everything backwards. We like bought a house, then got engaged, then decided to have children, then got married, and then we had this other house. And so I remember sitting at home with my newborn baby, so grateful, like loving to have her so much, with a few months of, money in the bank basically, and
Yeah.
being like, okay, now what?
Now what?
My husband worked as well. And so at that time, and just kind of reflecting on why it took so long to actually get help, my mentality had always kind of been to spend less money and live within my means, right?
Mhm.
So for me, like to be doing well, to have been successful was like, okay, is my net worth improving? Right. So
Mhm.
not really specifically always a financial goal, like I want to make 250 this year or whatever. How are we doing? Am I
Mhm.
kind of like in alignment with my own values and integrity? So for me, being with my like kids is so important to me.
Mhm.
So I never put my daughter in daycare. I did go back to work right away, but I figured out how to do it while not having to bring her to daycare. So I
Yeah.
had a little bit of help from family from time to time.
Yeah.
I worked while my husband was at work, and it was kind of an interesting time to say the least. So going from there, and really trying to integrate. being a mother with figuring out creative ways to meet new people and to continue to network
Mhm.
really led me to a place of hosting moms groups within my home. There was a really cool business called Momstown in my community at the time, hosted by a woman who also, used to have a different job that took her away from her family so much.
Mm.
And all she wanted to do was be with her kid.
Mhm.
Right. So she started this cool business, and it was kind of like a bunch of really organized drop-in groups and everything for moms to, because it's so important for moms to be around other
Yeah,
moms, right? To be
totally.
healthy, to feel well, to be supported. So I did a lot with that community. I went to a lot of events that she would host. She'd have like rent out like the fairgrounds, and I'd have a booth there giving out popcorn and different things like that. So I had really kind of leaned into that whole mom networking thing. And when
Mhm.
I first started to do it, I was worried that a mom wouldn't want to work with me because I figured they know how busy I am. And so they would perceive that I'm not, you know what I mean? I don't have time to do a great job for them and help them. But what really actually happened and surprised me, and in retrospect shouldn't have been surprising, is people work with people they know, like, and trust.
Totally.
So building that rapport with people on a human level, as long as when you do work with people you can execute well and like actually take care of them, was kind of a great asset. So my second daughter was born in 2010, and I was starting to kind of realize that, this mom piece was something that I could lean into
Yeah,
instead of away from, because it was always kind of like you're kind of this split persona, right? Like either I'm
totally.
you're getting real estate Michelle, or you're getting like mom Michelle, and it wasn't in alignment with who I was. So at some point I just kind of leaned into it, and I'm like the house mom.
I'm the
And
house mom. Yeah.
from then on it was always that, and it was catchy, and I had a lot of, I went to a lot of community events, and it stuck.
Yeah,
So
I
I've
love
never
that.
looked back from it.
So do you have to, like, as part of your brand, like, you have to wear mom jeans now and, like, anything that's, like, in mom culture, you have to do that? Is that, like, part of the shtick or what?
I no. No, I
No.
would say no. No, no, I
No,
still
okay.
have this really, like, this big push to, when I am working, have that be differentiated from when I
Sure.
am mothering, and
Yes.
have that kind of be separate. Although I would say, as my 3rd and 4th children were born, I, had more babies, like, traveling with me when they were small, and my clients, again, it's one of those things where you're like, "Oh, I definitely can't bring my baby to work with me." But then, yeah, you can bring your baby to work with you. Like,
Yeah.
people are happy that you show up for them,
Yeah.
and if you're still doing a great job and they like that relationship with you, and I don't know, like, I've just been so blessed to work with
Yeah.
amazing, wonderful clients who,
Well,
like,
and that
who
part of that is knowing
answer
who
them with
you are.
empathy, and they're empathetic right back, and they're just so kind and lovely and embracing.
Yeah.
So,
I'm not
yeah.
sure if you've had this experience or not, but I've just recently, my wife started taking, a friend's dog to work. She's a social worker like a seniors facility. And
Oh,
the people there love the dog, and they're actually disappointed when they see my wife, who's amazing, without
yes.
the dog. And I'm like, I imagine, like, you probably have clients that show up and you're like, "Oh, where's your kid? Oh, where's the babe?" Like, they're actually excited to see them.
Yes, I have
Yeah.
had clients be
Yeah.
so, so sweet, and, like, obviously, when we're in that bucket stage, we can't leave them for long because we still need
No.
to be nursing them, and they
Yeah.
need us so much.
Yeah.
And then after that, if you
So
you can leave for 3 or 4 hours and the sky won't fall as long as they're with someone you love and trust, and all
well,
of that good stuff.
thank you for indulging my, curiosity around your marketing angle and brand, 'cause I was curious, but, we're 12 minutes in. We probably should talk about what we're here to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm curious
Absolutely.
from your perspective, because I know we haven't had a lot of time to get to know each other.
Yep.
And so my request to reach out to you sort of out of the blue, do you know why what caused me, what the spark was for me to reach out to you?
Well, you had mentioned, because I had been posting on RRI about hiring a VA, and what that experience was like. And then once I started offering some different sessions to RRI coaching members
Yeah.
around that topic. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I think that was why. Was
Yeah,
that why?
exactly, and if you indulge me here, I wanna read your first post on January 11th, 'cause I have some questions for you. So this is on the RRI members community page, and it says, "Hi, everyone. in Q4 of 2024, I made the leap and hired a virtual assistant through outsourced doers. And
Mhm.
honestly, it's been a total game changer for both my business and my sanity. My
Mhm.
VA has taken so much off my plate, from posting daily on my social media channels to creating 3 fully functional sales funnels. She's also set up tools like Calendly and Ad Event and built automations through Zapier that are saving me hours a week. Now, you go on to continue to invite our community to an event that was hosted by the company that you worked with. And then later, February 13th, so about a month later, you posted on the same page, after an incredible response from our virtual assistant session, I've decided to host another one. I still have agents reaching out asking me. So we're diving into the nitty gritty of working with a VA in your real estate business. And so when I saw both of these posts, I was like, I need to talk to Michelle, because I feel like you are like the spokesperson for
Oh,
the I'm new to getting a VA
yes.
and I'm learning as we go. And like, some of the people that we've interviewed so far on this podcast have been people that have like maybe had the VA or an in real life assistant for 10
Yep.
years. And they're like definitely advocating for the benefits of hiring. But I thought the perspective of someone who's, very early into the process,
Yep.
where maybe you don't know all the answers, because how could you, because you're new to it.
Yep.
I just think that would be so valuable for our audience.
Yep.
Um, but I do, before we dig into that, I want to throw it back. You won an award in your previous career for operational excellence.
Yes.
And I'm curious to know the answer to this question. Up until recently, that post where you made in January said you, in final Q4 of 2024, you've hired a VA. You've been licensed for 19 years. Up to that point, had you ever hired a virtual assistant or a part-time
No.
assistant or anything?
No. And you know what? Having listened to your first podcast in this series, okay. So when I was in the gas business,
This is not a gotcha moment, just so you
no,
know. I'm just
it is
curious
though. Like
because you
it's a
came from.
mindset thing. It's a
Yes,
mindset thing. So
okay,
it's going to very much you talk about breakthroughs, and
yeah,
it's like my mindset getting out of the gas business where I managed people very successfully. Like leadership is not an unknown thing to me. Like it's something that I am good at and I thrived at when I was in the gas business. And even when I was a teenager, I was managing other people. Like I was managing facilities like from the time I was 16. But it was just when I got out of that business and then just having so much stress and anxiety around it and it being such a grind, when I got into real estate, I had this mindset of I just want to be responsible for me.
yeah,
And
yeah,
when I came into the business in 2008 or 2006, I think Facebook didn't even come out to the public until like 2008. So if you go back in a time machine to that time,
mhm,
really, if you're just getting started in real estate and you're a pretty organized person, you don't really need an assistant until you're getting quite successful, right? So
mhm,
it depends. Like I was always paying photographers to do photography. I
yeah,
had a sign installer. So I would like delegate those obvious things.
yeah,
But to me, it was like, there's not really that much that needs to be done here, in my opinion. And maybe I did it wrong and I would have, been like wildly successful from day one if I had done it differently. I just didn't see the need.
mhm,
And I was also kind of in a mindset of spend less. You need to make you need to make more money to spend more money. And I
mhm,
was kind of in this like, okay, I'm going into real estate because I want to have freedom, which is like a number one thing in my life that's important to me.
yeah,
And so to come here to work 17 hours a day to make a whole bunch of money to spend a whole bunch of money didn't really make sense to me. Like
yeah,
that wasn't why I was here. That's not what I'm doing.
mhm,
So it took me all those years simply because I kind of had that mindset, which was
yeah,
maybe backwards. My husband started a business in 2010. So we were always kind of funneling money that way as well. And he was working.
yeah,
So he was working like 12 hours a day for a good 6, 7 years, which was too much. Now he is also self employed. So we have a much better quality of life
yeah,
now. I didn't want to send my kids to daycare. So it was always kind of like, just don't spend more money.
yeah,
Just work as much as you have to, right? So I don't really have a lot of regrets around that. And the thing that kind of changed, getting involved with the RRI community more formally in 2021, doing some coaching, was really the idea of doing more marketing,
Hmm.
to keep like the sales funnel, like the funnel full, right? Because that is something that I do have to say over the years. I've had a lot of success with past clients and referrals because I'm just kind of like naturally good at having those relationships, and people have had good experiences when they've worked with me.
And you've got cute kids.
And I have cute kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So that was like,
Yeah.
that part wasn't hard, but it's not consistent
Yeah.
when that's your business plan, right? So really finally what broke through, and I don't remember which impact session it was, but it was the idea of like, I need to be doing marketing. So
Mhm.
while I was doing a lot of things very well, the thing that would fall off, and like I'm completely unapologetic about it, was my marketing.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't post to social media, I'm like, meh, like I didn't care.
Why do
So
you
that
say
way,
unapologetic about it? Like, what would make someone need to apologize? Like, who would you be apologizing to for that? I'm curious what you mean by that.
that's kind of interesting. I guess what I mean is you kind of have an expectation of how you should be running your business, and you're
Mm.
acutely aware of the areas where you're not performing to the extent that you probably should be performing,
Yeah.
right? And so, like in this, obviously taking full responsibility for the success or failure of my business and
Mhm.
whether leads are coming in or not,
Mhm.
knowing that this like big piece of my business was kind of missing, that for me, I guess is like a shame point, right? Like
Okay.
I'm here, but I could be here if I
Yeah.
was doing this one thing, but I don't really have time to do it. So I'm just going to skip it. And I just really focused on past clients and referrals and working my LRS, right?
So it's an interesting observation because I don't know that I've worked from with anybody who came from the sector that you worked in, but what you're describing to me reminds me a lot of like when we have people who get into real estate sales and they come from the automotive industry. I often find that there's way more systems and way more structure, like the training programs often for car salespeople, I think are honestly way further along in some respects than what people get from real estate brokerages and whatnot. Not always, obviously. And obviously there's communities like RRI that are out there. But I'm always amazed when we hire someone who was previously a car salesperson of like, oh yeah, they've got a certain like sales pedigree already built in. So there's a lot of structure and they're taught how to use a CRM and how to do follow-ups and all of that stuff. And it sounds to me like in your previous endeavors, like there was a lot of systems and a lot of structure. And then when you got out of it, it was almost like a natural, like, oh, I need the total opposite of that for a while. Like I don't even know if you would describe that as burnout or something, but you just like you were craving the opposite of what you had for a long time.
Yeah.
Is that fair to say?
Yeah, that is fair to say.
And
And
it
I guess structure in a different way. So, like with the gas business, you would do bookkeeping every single day.
right.
Whereas you become self-employed, and now I didn't really need to worry about that
I
much. I
haven't
just
even
shoved all
filed
those
my
invoices.
taxes in 6 years. So,
Ah,
it's
it
all good.
happens.
Yeah.
I will say though, I have now like I have a full-time bookkeeper, I have
Yeah.
an accountant. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm.
so a lot of things over the last several years I have started doing a better job of and delegating.
And so I'm all for the sabbatical or this taking that space and really like taking a moment to pause. I'm curious knowing what you know now because it sounds like you've done an amazing job. You've built a business that serves you. I mean, that's ultimately what this is all about, right?
Mhm,
So I applaud you for that. Um, but knowing what you know now, looking at that timeline,
mhm.
like, do you think 2 years of kind of being footloose and fancy free would have been adequate? Would have like, when would you go back to yourself knowing your own life story and have
Mhm.
said, "Hey, Michelle, I know you're loving this, not doing bookkeeping every day at the gas station, and I know you're loving this not running organizing other people like you used to since you were a teenager, but
Yeah.
maybe now's a time." Like, where in the last 19-year timeline would you want to have had that conversation with yourself?
Probably around 2012 or 2013.
So
Um,
that would have been so we're splitting the because you got licensed in 2006?
yes.
So about 6 to 7 years in of being a
Yeah.
real estate of being a rebel, real estate agent.
I wouldn't say a rebel real estate
Okay, all right,
agent.
fine, fine. I'm just trying to have fun here,
Yeah,
Michelle.
yeah,
Go
yeah.
on.
No, no, no.
But yeah, 6 years in. Why?
Well, I think because and you talked to it in your first episode, like for the first 5 years, you're just kinda learning how to do your job, right? So but around that point, if I wasn't outsourcing the care of my children in any way, having somebody to step in and help me on the other side would have been really, really smart. But I think at that time, I don't know if really having a VA would have been a thing.
Yeah.
Like, to be honest with
Yeah.
you, I don't really know if it was. And at that time, we had different financial pressures as a family because my husband had decided to start his own business and was trying to fund that
Yeah.
while also working full time. So it's kind of like, yeah, hindsight's 2020, and it would have been great if I had had the money to do it. But you know what? I don't think at that time I had the financial, and I don't want to say stability because we were paying our bills,
Yeah.
but it was tight. Like money was tight then, and
Mm.
and then it was that kind of bottleneck, like you're talking about. You're kind of stuck
Yeah.
because you can't really grow. You don't have the bandwidth to do it, and you don't have the systems necessarily or the help to do it. Um, so you're kind of stuck in a holding pattern, right?
Mhm.
So
And
yeah,
I just again, we're new friends.
yeah,
But I love your conviction, and sort of your self-assurance about, like, you've done the right things. I just find that very, it's a great energy. It's like you said, like, not unapologetic, and I love that about you. I am curious though, if I could push back a little bit, and it's not
yeah,
about trying to be right. It's more, I'm just interested in where this dialogue may go. But,
yeah.
you mentioned it's like this either or of like, well, I could have got childcare or I could have got an assistant. It didn't have to be a VA because I'm not pushing only a
Yeah.
VA agenda. It could have been a part-time person, could have been another mom in your mom group, right? That wanted 3 hours a day of work.
Well, and I did have somebody to help a little bit with the kids in that way. Yes.
Okay, but someone could have helped also with your business. And I'm curious, like, you're talking about money being tight, and I know you're not gonna just agree with me to agree with me. And I love
Yeah.
that. Um, could you hold the possibility that money's tight, but we would actually make more money if I had help then, and it's not an either or. I could have had a yes and, like, could you have seen that, or is it just that was just simply not in the cards at that point for you? If you're watching this episode, there's probably a pretty good chance you're looking to free up some more time to do what you love both personally and professionally. But maybe you don't know where to start. Don't worry, we've got you covered. Our breakthrough method is designed to help you get 10 hours a week back every 90 days. And the first step towards your next breakthrough is completing our resource review to see where you're investing your time, money, and energy. We've created a free guide with instructions and a template for you to use to complete the resource review. You can grab a copy at bradenwheatcroft.com/resource or grab a link in the description down below. All right, let's get back into the episode.
Well, actually, around that time, interestingly, I had actually had a girlfriend of mine help with the kids for like 12 hours a week. So she'd come into the house.
Okay.
I felt good about that. She had a little one too. So it was good for her. She was on mat leave. So she
Yeah.
was making a little bit of money. And that was something affordable. So that was good for me to have a little more time to actually focus on the business. And at
Yeah.
that time, I guess my oldest daughter had just started school. My kids were in public school at that time. We started homeschooling in 2018, so we have 4 homeschooled kids now.
Wow.
Um, but what I would say to that is I did kind of hire bits and pieces because I had people in my community helping me write blogs. There were some moms, so I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of feed my blog. I was big on community events and promoting things happening in the community, so I did do that. I couldn't have imagined at that time actually hiring an administrative assistant or anything like that
Mhm.
because I guess I figured I didn't really need it at that time because I wasn't busy enough. I think the bigger problem was because I was relying on just personal networking and past clients and referrals to feed the business, and I didn't have like a marketing machine running, like some kind of farming I was doing
Yeah.
or something that was newspaper ads every week, although I did that a little bit.
Yeah.
I, I didn't have that consistent source of leads. So I think I just felt stuck. Like I think I
Yeah.
would have loved help, but didn't know how to do it. Like I think I had a cleaning lady, which was helpful
Awesome.
until you realize when you have a lot of kids and you have pets, it's like it's great, but the house is clean for 4 minutes and
Yeah.
that could have been going into my RRSP. You know what I mean? Like not
Sure.
to put I think cleaning women like cleaning services are
Oh,
amazing
yeah.
and helpful.
Yeah.
Just it needs to fit your life, right? You just need to
Totally.
have good habits when you have a lot of kids and pets. But anyway,
Well,
yeah, so that's kind of the thing. Like I
it's
think
yeah.
yes, but
It's
I don't think
interesting.
I could see it at that point.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you describe this stuck. It's like the chicken or the egg dilemma, and I hear this in coaching
Yeah.
conversations all the time. It's like, when I'm busier,
Yeah.
It's like it's actually, let's go back in the timeline. It's like I acknowledge that my business would likely be better, my life would be better if I had some help, even administrative, because it's not like just because I can do admin work, and it only takes me 20 minutes every other day, like it still doesn't light me up, and I don't love doing it. So yes, okay, I get it, coach. I should have one, but I don't have enough leads coming yet to justify hiring that person. And it's like, that is such a common, juxtaposition to be in, or that chicken or the egg dilemma, because I might argue, well, part of the first thing you do when you reclaim that 2 hours a week is you spend 2 hours reading a book on marketing, taking a course on like learning how to fill the funnel. And I see a lot of people get some kind of trapped, never having the bandwidth to learn how to solve the problem
Yeah.
that is preventing them from moving forward, right? And I always say, like, YouTube University, I'm pretty sure, and I am not a handy person. Like, I don't know if you can see how soft my hands are, but they are like silky soft. They have not seen a day of hard manual labor. And if you said, come to my community and change the oil in my vehicle,
Yeah.
I have no idea how to do that, but I'm pretty sure I could show up on Monday and kind of do it by sitting on YouTube all weekend and learning and reading about the model of your vehicle and calling a friend of mine who's a mechanic to walk me through a few of the shortcuts. And I could, in 48 hours, have figured out how to change the oil in your vehicle. Not
Yeah.
well, and I'm not going to guarantee the labor, but I could kind of understand how to do it. But
Yeah.
most people don't have the 48 hours of breathing room to figure out how to do that. And that's
Yeah.
where it's like, I find that it is a very much a chicken egg dilemma.
Oh, it 100% is. And I don't think at that time I really had the mindset of if if I do this, it's going to free up my
Mhm.
space to do the thing I'm really good at. Do you know
Mm.
what I mean? Like it just wasn't a mindset piece I had.
Yeah.
Now I don't know, like I think I would take in RRI events probably around that time because I know Rich spoke at a couple of Remax events.
Yeah.
And then I did start going to his fall event quite often at that point, and I loved that mindset shift because, you know, it is that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like thinking, okay, this frees me up to do the things that I'm really passionate about. So, what I have noticed the most with hiring somebody, and I had mentioned it in my posts, was like, I feel inspired again
Yeah.
because it was almost like before having an idea of something I wanted to do that I didn't have time to do
Yeah.
because like my values are going to be my values. This is just who I am. Like I'm going to do a great job for my clients. I'm going to be around for my kids. And if I have time left over, I'm going to do these other things.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
like, and self-care probably is above doing social media posts for my business
100%. Agreed.
to build my business.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's fine. But now I'm like, oh my God. Okay. So like I also run a group called Empowering Real Estate Mom Circle, which some of the RI members are a part of.
Wow. Am I
Yeah,
allowed to invite my colleagues at my brokerage to that? Is that a thing, or
yeah,
how's that work?
you can
Yeah,
absolutely do that. So
cool.
it's for real estate moms, so moms who are realtors or women working in businesses that are kind of like surrounding real estate. So like lawyers,
Yeah.
stagers, photographers, things like that. So mortgage brokers, because I just love it. Like so things I'm passionate about is actually supporting people. Like
Yeah.
how do women live authentically? Because I feel like when you're in alignment with your own values and you're in your integrity, you're happy,
Yeah.
right? So like some of this other stuff you'll figure out over time. Um, but you need to kind of start with you and you need
Yeah.
to kind of get out of the mindset that you have to do things the way like everybody else in society is doing it. Like you have
Yeah.
a right to imagine your life however you want to imagine it and
Mhm.
take steps to live it in the way you want to. So what I found exciting, sorry, getting back to the
That's
VA
okay.
piece,
It's
is
okay.
like
Uh,
I felt inspired again. So
yeah.
like I have the Empowering Real Estate Mom Circle going. Within my community, I was already meeting up with a bunch of moms for something we call Conscious Women Entrepreneur, which is just again like-minded women sitting in a circle and like sharing with each other like business challenges because those challenges are different for a mom who's like a homeschooling mom with her kids
Yeah.
than it is for maybe a man who doesn't have any children, right? Like, so we all have like, yeah, we all have different things in our lives. And I think when we sit with people who are like minded, we can solve a lot of problems if we're
Yeah.
sharing honestly. Um, But anyway, so since having the VA, I'm now going to be able to kind of like do a couple more passion projects that I'm excited about and still have all of these other elements of my business running. So since we've been working together, she set up, like even registration funnels for some of these projects I work on, which is presenting them in the professional way that I would always want them to be presented in, but didn't have time to accomplish,
Yeah.
right? Um, she's posting for me on social media every single day. And actually, since coming into the business, she's like, "Do we have any professional photos?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
I have like a headshot. And honestly, when I started the business in 2006, if you had a headshot that was not a glamour shot from the 90s, you
You
were like
fancy.
ahead of the curve. So,
Yeah.
like, when I started, I had a couple of good headshots. I had those redone a few years ago. But she's like, "Yeah, but Michelle, we need some like waist up photos, this and that." So since getting a VA, I have done a full branding photo shoot, which was like way over the top and way out of my comfort zone. But now we have great marketing collateral. And
Yeah.
at the same time, I worked with the same woman to actually do a whole brand refresh to help me with a bunch of my messaging and get super clear on my brand and what we have to offer. So it's kind of like this one piece has opened up all of this other stuff because now I have the bandwidth to deal with it, right?
Okay.
And if I deal with it, I have someone to actually implement it. Because even if you go for like a branding photo shoot, and I don't know how you are, but even looking at pictures of yourself, you're like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
to
Yeah.
even think of
No, I
like,
don't have that problem. Honestly, it's my favorite thing. I listen to my
looking
own
at pictures of
podcast
yourself.
nonstop. Yeah, can't just love it so much. No, it's so cringy, but,
It's so cringy, but
yeah.
when you hand that album over to somebody who you trust now, who's doing great work for you, and you're like, "Go market my business,"
Yeah, totally.
you don't
So,
have to worry about it as much, right?
yeah, I do wanna, take a slight left turn from this conversation
Yeah.
because I do wanna come back to everything that this company has helped you with and whatnot, but the piece that I'm just, like, so fascinated to hear about, I mean, all of it really, but the thing that I really wanna try to shine a light on is you're clearly a community leader in so many senses because you volunteered to organize some meetups in the RRI community, which is amazing. Thank you for doing that.
Oh,
Um, and at the same time, so you're facilitating these conversations, you're bringing people together, and I know that based on the second post, it's like obviously the first meeting went well because there was questions, so you ran a second one. So I
yeah.
want to know if you are the unofficial ambassador of the do everything yourself agent, that's shifting from do less everything yourself. And you're now hearing people because you're like maybe I don't know if there's 100 steps between step 1 is you do everything yourself and step 100 is, I don't know, you've got 17 administrators and 3 people dress you every day. Like I don't know what that world looks like, but you were like step 4 or 5, right? Because
Yeah,
you were hiring a photographer and you had someone doing your signs and stuff. So you weren't, at 1, but you are probably now let's just say step 10, right? Like you have a VA doing stuff, maybe step 12, maybe step 13, but you're interacting and having conversations with people that are like maybe like step 4 or 5, or
yeah,
they're at step 1. They literally are putting in their own for sale signs and taking their own photos. So I want to know, what are you hearing? What are people saying? What are the yeah buts, or oh well that sounds good for you, Michelle, but I da 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 da. Like what on the grass level, like the person who hasn't got that help yet, who hasn't let go, what are
yeah.
they saying?
I first of all, and what's fascinating about this is I forget which call we were on. It was an impact call, and I had put in a comment, and it was like fleeting. It was something about hiring a VA and being so happy, and it was like everything spiraled from there
Yeah,
because I
moth
started
to
getting
a
messages.
flame.
Pardon?
Moth to a flame.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so it's like I put this comment up and then a bunch of agents started reaching out to me. This was before I even proposed doing a session with outsourced doers for RRI. So
yeah,
it was like this crazy feedback. So people are interested. Um, they are tired. There's so much now. Like, I mean, looking from 2006 to the way business is happening in 2024 is like, holy cow. Like, if you're not on every social media, if you're not, knocking it out of the park with personal branding, it's like, it's a very competitive thing now. So I think what people are worried about is, okay, well, like, who do I hire? Like, where do I even go to hire somebody like this?
Yeah.
How am I going to find the time to train them? Like, I'm already drowning. You know what I mean? So, like, you're treading water and now you're going to like put a brick on your head, which is trying to train a person to come in and help you in your business, which
Yeah.
is kind of how I imagined it before. Um, and and I think they just like they don't know the systems. They maybe are very experienced agents who do want to be like more tech savvy, who do want to be on social media more. But that's not like their zone of genius or whatever, you
Yeah.
know, whatever the
Yeah.
case might be.
Totally.
Like they don't know all of those things. So then it's
I
kind of,
hate social
how do I
media.
hire that? I don't even know how to do it.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't enjoy the process of creating content and posting content on social media,
Yeah.
but I understand how important it is.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that was like one of the it's probably the 3rd hire that I made was hiring some no, yes, 3rd hire to have someone just post on social media for me. And I love making the content and I love making the connection and the impact for people. I love serving.
Yeah.
But you know, like you said, like if I have to post, and I even noticed this, and this is just my own little, mental health dilemma. But if I post a reel, I
Yeah.
am like very invested in how it performs.
Yeah.
Like, I'll wanna know, "Has anyone seen this yet?" Right?
Yeah.
Whereas when Katie and my team at Brand Ambition post for me, I'll be like, "Oh, I said something today." And, like, we do have a content calendar and, like, we kinda know what's coming up, but I am not emotionally invested in the performance of it
Yes.
at all,
Yes.
and it is
Yes.
the weirdest thing. I wish that wasn't true. I feel like a weirdo for admitting it out loud, but it's true. So when I post a thing, I want it to do well. When they post on my behalf, I don't really care that much.
Yes.
You know,
No,
obviously, I want it to be
100%. You're
quality,
not you're
on
an
brand.
observer of it. You're
Yeah,
not emotionally invested in it, and
yeah,
I love that. But, like, I think that's the thing, like, people are just scared because number 1, they're like, "Oh, I don't really wanna spend more money in my business, but
yeah,
know that I need help. I don't necessarily know exactly what I need help with or what I should hand over first.
yeah,
I don't know where to hire somebody. Like, how do I know who to trust? How do I know they're gonna be doing what they're supposed to be doing and not just taking my money and wasting time? Like, how do I really bring them into the business? Because a lot of people don't have a lot of good messaging around their business already, necessarily don't know how to share what they
yeah,
do. Like, it's a lot to transfer, and to transfer to somebody in person feels one way, and then to have another layer of it being someone who's far away, it's even more difficult.
mhm,
So that's kind of the stuff I've been talking to agents about. I've been giving a lot of advice to agents about like really leaning into AI,
mm,
because for me, I think that was a game changer because I think I already had a brand prompt sort of running before I hired somebody. So it was like, I see how I could bring somebody in and
yeah,
have them really be effective as me without being me.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
And it's been incredible. So like those seem to be the concerns.
yeah,
And do I need somebody for 40 hours a week? I think I only need somebody for 10 hours a week,
right.
right? This is what people are thinking, right?
Yeah, and I'd also say if like most agents in my experience that are say 5 years in the business are selling probably north of 12 homes, like 18 homes is probably the minimum, like 1.5 a month type frequency. They probably have 30 to 40 hours worth of tasks, but I'm a big believer in chopping that up and giving it to the experts in each task. Like we refer to it as fractional employment. Like, I am not even good at taking photos, editing videos, writing copy, doing
Yeah,
admin, doing bookkeeping, like, so how could I ever expect my full-time in-person administrator to be great at all of those things? Like, I see that a
right?
lot in postings. It's like,
Yeah,
I want you to be a rock star, administrator that dots every I and crosses every T, but I also want you to be super creative and be really good at Canva and create like graphic design stuff. And you're like, I don't know many people that are that good at everything. So I would say, hey, I've got 5 hours a week of social. I've got 3 hours a week of bookkeeping. I've got 20 hours a week of admin. Like, I can have multiple people on my team that are all specialists and passionate about each of those things. I've found a lot more success with that
yeah,
personally.
no, that makes a lot of sense to me too. And to be honest, with my VA so far, I have brought her into working kind of like online leads a little bit, just because I'm like, okay, well, you can do this. I'm not that worried about it.
Mhm.
Not that she isn't capable. Like, I think
Yeah.
she's capable and she's lovely. But I haven't really brought her into, oh my goodness, I don't know why. Okay. I'm hoping that's gonna, let me just,
Do not disturb it.
I'm just going to ask him to kindly not disturb.
Cease and desist. Stand down.
Yeah. Anyways.
All good. So,
So
so
when I decided to hire somebody, my mentality was this. It was like, okay, it was coming off of last year, which the fall wasn't as great as I had expected, quite honestly. I had a good year, but heading into the fall, some of the files didn't work out the way I had hoped they would. There were different factors in people's lives going on that made them change their plans.
Mhm.
But I had time on my hands. So I was kind of like, after one of the impact calls, and I wish I could remember which one it was, I'm like, you know what? I need to like hire somebody.
Mhm.
So I started looking into hiring a VA. And then I found outsourced doers because their marketing is brilliant. Like they've done a fantastic job of marketing to
Yeah.
women, at least. I don't know
Yeah.
how that would
I
feel
no,
for us.
I've actually saved a number of their, sponsored
Yeah.
posts on Instagram because I'm like, "Oh, I am gonna chat with these guys at some point."
Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
absolutely brilliant. And then I just kind of made the personal decision of, okay, this year, leading into next year, I'm investing in my business and we're just going to do it. So I talked to my husband as well cuz like, we share money and he's got a
Mhm.
business running and we're investing in his business. There's like a lot going on, but we're just like, yep, let's just do it. So the idea for me when I hired somebody was I'm going to get her to really work on marketing so that I can get more leads coming in.
Mhm.
So I'm like, the thing I can do that's going to generate more income, more leads, those are the things I'm putting my VA on first.
Yeah.
And then if I can bring her into helping manage files at some point, I will.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really looking for an administrator. I was looking for
Yeah.
somebody who could build sales funnels, like make Canva
Yeah. No,
graphics, post on social.
you're actually I love selfishly, the reason why I do this is not for the audience, it's so I can learn, and I'm learning so much right now. I hope they are too. But you're actually chipping away. My opinion on this is starting to shift based on this exact conversation because I don't know what it is. It's just the way that we've been talking about it. I've been pretty firm on this idea that you need to hire your administrative assistant first, because what ends up happening is as salespeople, marketing people, we get excited about leads. And so we will usually get attracted to outsourcing the marketing and lead gen first because that's exciting, deals and dollars. And when it works, we end up getting slammed as our own administrator because now we have all these extra clients. And so my counsel to people is often get the admin in place first, build the infrastructure so
Mhm.
that you can then when the leads are there, you don't end up being a overwhelmed administrator for yourself. The problem with that though, that you have really brought to the surface for me is if you don't have the leads and the revenue to hire that
Mhm.
assistant, the
Yeah.
admin assistant, you may never hire anybody. And so by focusing on that outsourcing to fill the funnel, so to speak, is going to bring in revenue that you can then reallocate to the same person or a new person to do the admin. I think that the danger would be to only hire the marketing person and 6 months, 12 months go by, your funnel's so full, but your paperwork is piled up to the ceiling because you
Mm.
haven't built in the infrastructure there. So I don't still don't know that it's a right or wrong approach, but I really like what you're saying is like lead with revenue is actually one of the few things I remember from Gary Keller's Millionaire Real Estate Agent. He's always like lead with revenue. And so that sounds to me like what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think the other half of that story is I was doing one-on-one coaching with RRIs since 2021. So I have my ducks in a row.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I came in fairly organized,
Yeah.
but not the way I'm organized now. So now I'm thinking more systems. Now I'm doing more time blocking. Like I feel like I have more of a handle on all of those administrative pieces within my business, the way I manage them.
Yeah.
So I can handle more coming in, if that
Mhm.
makes any sense.
Yeah.
And now I have somebody to, like if I have a presentation, for example, like I built my own presentations in Canva for listing appointments, whatever. But now I have somebody who's actually better at doing that than I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
So I can actually have her go back and
Totally.
like fix all my content. So Yeah, like I agree with you. If you're disorganized and you're already drowning because of being disorganized, hiring somebody to like ramp up your marketing game is probably not going to be great. And maybe you would need an administrator.
Yeah,
But in place of hiring an administrator, I think I was doing one on one coaching with RRI, which was really helpful.
yeah,
But then I got to a point with my coaching where I was like, and I said to Susan, she's lovely. I'm like, I need to focus on implementing. Like my
yeah.
problem now is not that I know what to do. I'm not doing it because I don't have the time to do it.
Susan's your
So
coach?
it was Susan Froher.
I love Susan. Yeah,
Yeah, she's
yeah,
amazing. So she was a
awesome.
great fit for me. So I'm actually doing I'm doing team coaching right
Yeah,
now while I was kind of like balancing cash flow to figure this whole thing out. And that's not to lead anybody away from like one-on-one coaching. I was doing it for years. And I
yeah,
realized I'm like, I can keep writing things down, but if I don't have time to implement it, then it's no good for me. So I
yeah.
said to her, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pause on one-on-one coaching. I'm going to go and implement everything and then I'll be back.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
yeah,
Yeah. So
BRB.
then that's kind of been the quest since
I love
October when
that.
I hired my doer.
So we have, I love that, hired my doer, and that's great branding on their part too.
You're so
That's a great,
smart.
yeah, they're
Oh
so
my God.
clever. So obviously that's a strong endorsement for that organization. I want to, in the time we have left here, about 10 minutes or so, I want to ask you, like, if you put your coach hat on for a second, your coach Michelle,
Yeah.
right? And you're now in the helping people get unstuck business, which is, really what I'm trying to do is get you to do my work for me, because this is the business I'm in, is getting
That's
people unstuck.
fair.
And and remember, we're talking right now to people that haven't made that hire yet. They've got all of the yeah buts and all of the apprehensions. Like you mentioned a few things, like I don't know what to let go of first, or I don't know how to, like, what's your process? Like, what would you be, what would you recommend the first couple of steps be for somebody who is like, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I need to get help, but I don't know where to start. What do you say to them?
Yeah. Um, I feel it. It's a tricky piece, but what I would say is, for me, I'm totally a control freak, right? Like it's funny. I'm very much in surrender about a lot of things in life. Like I kind of go with the flow of life, but then when it comes to executing things, I'm a bit of a control freak. So for me to hand over anything like client facing is like, like no, thank you, right?
Yeah.
Um, so the reason I actually started with marketing also, number one, to generate revenue, but the second reason for that was I'm like completely ashamed of how I'm doing that right now anyway, with putting aside like how we staged and presented properties. That was always on point. It looked great and like advertising and stuff like that. But from a personal marketing perspective, what I'm doing now sucks. So my expectations were very easy to manage. If I brought somebody in
Yeah.
and they did something, right,
Mhm.
that I was even marginally happy with, I was going to be happy. So that was going to feel like a win. And I knew for me that doing that would be a great way to kind of get things going. Um, so that would be number one. Number two,
And sorry,
solely,
number
yeah,
1, can you put if we were putting this in a training manual, because I'm getting you to do all my,
because
this
you're going to make the
is me
training manual.
outsourcing and delegating in real time, okay? What would the header of that number 1 be? You'd say, is that like get your
Mm.
marketing running for you? Is that
Well,
the
find what
start?
you're not doing well yourself
Yeah.
and delegate that.
Okay. Awesome.
Because it's
Chapter
like
1.
an easy win.
Quick
Like if
win.
you bring
Yeah.
someone in and they're doing something and it's better than the thing you were doing, then you're happy. Right. So it's like, hiring a bookkeeper, which was one of my many hires in the
Yeah.
past. Good.
Yeah.
Same thing when I used to hire moms to write blogs, right? Like I am not a writer. I hate writing. This was like pre-AI. Great. Like
Yeah.
bravo. You know what I mean?
Give
Like
me
bravo. You guys are amazing.
chapter 1 is get the quick win with something that you would
Yeah.
immediately see the impact on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Number
What number
two,
2?
lean into AI.
Okay.
Because to me, this is like the most brilliant innovation. I don't know whether I would have hired somebody before AI because I saw AI as like
Mm.
this brilliant friend, partner that would allow me to kind of like split myself in two to really keep working with somebody, like
Yeah.
almost like a training partner. Because if you actually do the work, and this, I guess, is my third piece of advice, get very clear on your business, who you're wanting to work with,
Mhm.
and what your, value proposition is, what your mission is, so that you can actually share that information with somebody you're hiring. Because it's hard enough to bring somebody into your business to do things for you, but if you can't articulate what it is you do or what you're doing differently or what's important to you in your organization, then I feel like it's very difficult for them to
Totally.
kind of get onto it,
Yeah.
and they can't read your mind, right? So they have the disadvantage for a VA of being like physically distanced, possibly, very culturally there's some differences too that you kind of have to bridge for them, right? And then also if you don't really know what your messaging is, then that's very difficult. So
And a
get clear on
couple things I'll throw there, and I wanna ask you about AI tools despite the fact I know they will be dated in 6 months from now, but, 'cause,
that.
they're
So you
always
love that.
evolving.
It's just
Yeah,
like
it's the
it's just
exciting
moving
part
so
for sure.
quickly.
But just to iterate on that, one of the apprehensions I hear about people using ChatGPT is it sounds like ChatGPT, and I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. It's because it doesn't know you." And so when I think of brand identity, there's 2 pillars for me. There's brand visuals and there's brand voice. And so
Mhm,
one of the things I did last year is I hired a professional copywriter to interview. I think she interviewed 7 to 10 of my customers, agents at my brokerage, coaching clients, etc., friends, whatnot. She looked at previous videos, previous podcasts. We did an interview and all that. And then she put together a brand voice guide. Basically, this is Braden's tone. These are the things, the missions, the values, all of that. And then I hired a computer science student to take that brand voice guide and build a custom GPT with that brand voice and guide. So now anyone who writes words on my behalf, whether it's Katie, my social media manager, whether it's Isabel, my VA, whether it's even Rachel, my copywriter, um, there's a consistency factor. So now instead of it being like, oh, that doesn't sound like me, been able to tighten it all up. That process of the brand voice guide and
yeah,
the computer science, it was like $1,500 all in.
yeah.
And
It's like nothing for what
members
it's bringing to the
members of
table.
my team, like, even in my brokerage now, people are like, some of my colleagues, like, staff are using it because 'cause they're like, "Well, it already has who our ideal client is and what their pain points are and all that built into it," right? So just setting yourself up for success with some of those things can be absolutely huge.
Yeah.
Um, I also wanna ask, so but back to the AI tools for a second, like, give us your "I couldn't live without them right now" tools. What would those be?
Really for me, like I haven't gone deep in using different tools, but currently it's like ChatGPT and
Yeah.
like Grok. I am using both of them.
Okay.
And just for I'm a very creative person, but I am not a good writer.
Yeah.
So for me to be able to go and throw in all of the garble I'm thinking, and I'm a deep thinker, I'm very introspective, and then for them to spit out something that like, damn, yes, this is exactly what I wanted to convey, but didn't have the good writing ability to actually convey well. So, and I did the same thing with the brand identity. So
Yeah.
working with somebody, she did help with that as well. And then I like massaged my prompt, but then I went in even further with it, and I'm like, how can I make this prompt even more like me? And I worked with Chat GPT and like fed in all sorts of personal narrative and like
Yeah.
anecdotes and like all this stuff. And it is
Totally.
so rich now. The content that comes out of it, I am like, holy cow, like this is everything that's in my heart and in my mind that
Yeah.
I'm not articulating well enough to share. So
Yeah.
so I think like ChatGPT is more me than I am me now in a way that it can actually communicate well.
Have you played with the app on your phone and the voice, the conversation part yet?
I have not.
Oh my goodness. This is my new favorite thing. I'm gonna do this in real time. Hopefully I'm not logged out of my password. So I'm a significantly better talker than typer. Like
Okay.
I struggle with
Oh,
email and
yes.
text. And so here's my chat B bot or my coach B bot.
Okay.
And so you hit the little icon on the side and it'll turn into voice mode and then
Okay.
it'll start talking to you. Um, Start new chat. Okay, so now it's in voice activation mode, and I could say, "Can you please describe the Coach B brand voice, specifically what the tone matrix looks like?"
Mm.
The Coach B brand voice is designed to be warm, empathetic, and knowledgeable. It strikes the balance between being professional and approachable, creating a supportive and encouraging tone.
That's like
It
mine.
is clear, concise, and relatable, ensuring the audience feels understood and motivated. It embodies
Nice.
a coaching style that is both inspiring and grounded in practical advice.
So now I'm just going to end this other because we're going to keep
We're
talking.
like
So
kindred spirits. This
yeah,
is
I know.
like
That's the thing. We're best
practically my
friends
grand
now.
voice.
Yeah. So I don't know how I'm going to infiltrate one of your mom groups. I'm going to find a way, but nonetheless, so I will have conversations with that voice bot back and forth, and I'll say, "Hey, I'm thinking about this thing. I just had this conversation with this person, and I think it would be great for some breakthrough content." And da 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 da, and we'll talk back, and I'm like, okay, so well, I was thinking about this, and we'll just talk back and forth for 10, 15 minutes sometimes. And then
Mhm.
what's cool about it is when you end the conversation, you can go into ChatGPT and it'll actually have the full transcription of you and the bot talking. But for me, sitting there and typing is
No,
just
it just like it's all gone, right?
yeah,
Like, I don't know.
yeah,
So, if you're an agent at any point in your career and you're like resisting I would say to you like reconsider.
yeah,
Because for me, I guess with technology and I like simple things and I like a simple life, but I have felt like technology is a key to my freedom.
yeah,
So having a cell phone got me out of the office. Having like a laptop meant I didn't have to sit in my office. Like
yeah,
anything that gives me freedom just makes me happier. And I feel like chat is one of those things. And it's letting me create things that I really want to create, but
yeah,
just I don't have a copywriter. And I don't even know if having a copywriter would have helped me that much with some of the things that I'm doing now. Right.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's fascinating stuff. Okay, so we like to end every interview by asking our guests one question because the whole breakthrough method is the objective, the measurable deliverable for this program is to help people get 10 hours a week back in 90 days.
right.
Um, I'm curious to know your answer to the question. What would you do with an extra 10 hours a week?
Hmm. Well, here's the thing. I already have those extra 10 hours a week because I wasn't doing all the things I was supposed to be doing before. Um, I would probably just go on a hike. I'd just be hanging out with my kids. Like, I just want to be at home cooking and doing fun things and gardening and just sitting in the sun. That's kind of my happy day.
I love
So, yeah, and
that.
honestly, like I don't know. I think people should really embrace their personal sovereignty and not worry so much about what other people are doing because, you know, I don't know. I just wish everybody freedom, really.
Yeah,
So what I would want is for everybody to be free and happy. And that's not the question you're asking, but that's kind of like my life message. Go like
yeah.
live your life, run your own race, like be happy on your own terms, define your own success. And yeah.
I you're amazing. I wish I knew you 16 or 19 years ago.
Oh,
I've
thank
enjoyed
you.
this conversation so much, Michelle. Um, anything else you need to get off your head or your heart before we say goodbye for today?
No, I don't think so. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Actually, podcasting is on my goals list for the year ahead. So I will look forward to picking your brain if you'll
Yeah, absolutely.
indulge me on that, the practicality of how to do it all.
Totally.
But no, just thank you for creating such a lovely space. And I think what you're doing is brilliant and your message is amazing. And I think you're helping a lot of people.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much. Well,
So
am I gonna see you at any what are you gonna be at the, RI in,
I'll be in Toronto.
Toronto? Thank you for watching Breakthrough with Coach B. If you're ready to grow by letting go, check out our website, bradenwheatcroft.com for all of our free and paid breakthrough resources. Your future self and your loved ones will thank you. All right, catch you in the next episode.